The secret to success in crypto is to ignore what's happening now and ask yourself what comes next.
So what comes next?
Right now, everyone is focusing on Solana because President Trump literally launched a meme coin on its chain. However, what comes next could be a massive rotation into Sui. Sui is held by one of Trump's sons, it sponsored Trump's inauguration, and it also has big plans for 2025. And that's why today we're going to bring you up to speed on what Sui has been up to, see what the project is planning, and look at how high its Sui coin could go as a result. My name is Nick, and this is a video you need to watch until the end. Before we get started, it's important to note that nothing in this video is financial advice. It's educational content intended to inform you about Sui. And also do note that many members of the Coin Bureau team hold Sui as part of their personal crypto portfolios, but you can rest assured that we will be as objective as possible in our analysis, as always. If you want to see our full portfolios, well, then you can become a member of the Coin Bureau Club. Members not only get access to our full portfolios and watch lists, but also deep dives into promising altcoins every week and actionable crypto alpha every day. You can become a member of the club using the link down below. Now, it's been more than 5 months since we covered Sui, and a lot has happened since then. In September last year, Sui began accepting pre-orders for its Suiplay handheld gaming device. It's expected to be shipped in the coming months and will apparently support both Web 2 and Web 3 games. For context, gaming is the first step in Sui's strategy to achieving mass adoption. The second step is to grow the total value locked on its blockchain, and the third is to support commerce use cases. The three aren't sequential per se, but it underscores the fact that Sui is likely to be dominant in the GameFi niche. Another thing that happened last September was the launch of Sui's native bridge. For reference, Sui has been building out its own infrastructure to compete with the likes of Solana. And this includes creating its own bridge, using its own high-performance data oracle, and even launching its own storage solution. Sui's storage solution is called Walrus, and its white paper was actually released last September as well. The Walrus testnet launched in October, and its mainnet is expected to launch sometime this year. Tusky, a Dropbox-like project on Walrus, has already seen over 1 million uploads and 60,000 users on testnet. Notably, Walrus will feature its own token called Wall, and it seems like it will be airdropped to testnet participants. Even more notably, changes to US crypto regulations under the Trump administration could make it possible for the Wall airdrop to be more widespread. For those unfamiliar, US users are often blocked from receiving airdrops because of, well, regulations. Airdrops could also supercharge the sales of Suiplay. Anyways, back to October. Another thing that happened in October was the launch of native USDC on Sui. Sui subsequently integrated Circle's cross-chain transfer protocol, or CCTP, in December. For those who don't know, CCTP makes it easy to move USDC between blockchains that support native USDC. The practical effect of this is that it becomes easier to move money between chains, and you'll recall that one of Sui's key focuses is to increase the TVL on its blockchain. Oddly enough, though, the amount of stablecoins on Sui has basically been stagnant despite the CCTP integration. More on that a bit later. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to smash that like button to let us know. And don't forget to subscribe and ping the notification bell as well to make 100% sure you don't miss the next one. Now, November was when things got interesting. For starters, asset manager Van Eck launched a Sui product, foreshadowing a potential spot ETF filing. Then FDUSD stablecoin launched on Sui. FYI, FDUSD appears to be affiliated with Binance and was only available on Ethereum and BNB prior to Sui. That's why it's interesting that the Sui blockchain experienced an outage right after this announcement. In a post-mortem, the Sui team explained that the outage was caused by a single abnormal transaction submitted to its blockchain that validators couldn't process. Nothing to see here, we're sure. Anyhow, fortunately, the outage didn't dissuade asset manager Franklin Templeton from partnering with Sui a few days later. Unfortunately, the outage did seem to overshadow the news that Sui had launched its BTC staking in a partnership with Babylon's Layer 2. In retrospect, it probably wasn't the best timing. Things started looking a lot more bullish for Sui in December, though. The biggest announcement by far was the news that the Phantom wallet will be adding support for Sui. It's not entirely clear when this is expected to occur, and the Phantom wallet does not support the Sui blockchain, at least at the time of shooting this video. Still, it's not a question of if, but when. As most of you all know, Phantom is the #1 wallet on the Solana blockchain and is quickly becoming the most popular crypto wallet of all. It apparently has over 7 million monthly active users, and it also flipped the Coinbase app in both app stores in November. Phantom integrating Sui means it will become that much easier for people to interact with Sui's on-chain ecosystem. At the same time, it highlights the fact that Sui and Solana could go head-to-head in a big way. They will literally be competing for users from within the same wallet, which is pretty crazy. On that note, a survey of developers on Solana from earlier this month revealed that they would either switch to building on Sui or on Base if building on Solana became a problem for whatever reason. And we reckon that most would go to Sui, since Move is based on Rust, the programming language used by Solana. And speaking of the Phantom wallet, it raised $150 million earlier this month. To bring you up to speed, Phantom raised almost $120 million in previous rounds before that. So, this brings the total raised to almost $270 million. And that's more than most crypto projects, and it suggests that Phantom will continue gaining dominance. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention another announcement that the Sui team made earlier this month, and that's that Miston Labs' chief legal officer, Kevin Boone, being appointed as the company's president. To bring you up to speed, Miston Labs is the American software company that built the Sui blockchain. From our perspective, Kevin's appointment is additional evidence to the idea that the airdrop of the Wall token and any potential airdrops associated with the Suiplay could be big and available to US users. And that's simply because the blog post announcing Kevin's appointment refers to both catalysts. In fact, we believe that it's possible that airdrops could be how crypto blockchains compete for users in the coming months, and Sui seems to be positioning itself for this possibility. Crypto wallets could also do airdrops to attract and retain users. And it could also explain why Sui wanted to integrate with Solana's Phantom wallet. It may do an airdrop to users in the coming months, but we will come back to that a bit later. First, we need to look at Sui's price action. In our previous update, we predicted that Sui would rally up to around $3 or $4. And this was because Sui's on-chain activity had flatlined, but its total value locked was rising, suggesting that there was only one direction Sui's price and on-chain activity could go, and that was up. Sui ended up significantly surpassing our target, rallying to around $5.4 in early January. And what's fascinating is that this rally appears to have corresponded to the appointment of Kevin as president. And this could be circumstantial evidence of the idea that Sui whales know how big Sui could get with him at the helm. What's even more fascinating is that the Sui rally occurred without a significant increase in on-chain activity. Sui Scan's analytics dashboard reveals that the number of active wallets stayed flat while Sui rallied. And this is further evidence of the idea that Sui whales have been driving the recent rally. To refresh your memory, Sui's rally over the summer appears to have been driven almost entirely by DeFi leverage. Sui whales borrowing against their Sui to buy more Sui. What's truly fascinating is that the rally that happened in the fall appears to have been driven primarily by stablecoin borrowing rather than Sui borrowing, as the TVL of both on Sui have an inverse relationship on DeFi Llama. This is a long-winded way of saying that Sui whales continue to be the primary drivers of the Sui rally for the time being. At least that's what it looks like. Obviously, this isn't a sustainable strategy, assuming this is the one that is being undertaken. What's needed is more retail speculation, particularly for the cycle top. If Sui doesn't get more retail speculation in the short term, then Sui may not go much higher than $6.4 or so. If Sui does get more retail speculation in the short term, then it could go as high as $10, as this is the target that most people would be eyeing. Again, this is in the short term, as in over the next few weeks. In the longer term though, i.e. over the next few months, our Sui target hasn't changed, in that we believe it will hit between $20 and $25. And this is because we believe that Sui is following Solana one cycle behind. In 2021, Sol hit a market cap of $80 billion. A Sui hitting a market cap of $80 billion would translate to a price of about $20 to $24 a coin. Believe it or not, but it's possible that Sui could go much higher than this just because it's part of a crypto niche that hasn't gotten big yet. In case you missed the news, that niche is GameFi. If Sui is already around $20 to $24 when GameFi starts getting really big, it could potentially, keyword potentially, rally as high as $40 or even $50. Now, whether Sui could rally as high as $40 or $50 ultimately depends on its upcoming milestones. And as it so happens, Sui co-founder Adeniyi Abiodun recently published an X post about Sui's plans for 2025. It's long and technical, so we'll just give you the highlights. The full post will be down in the description below. The first highlight is Mysticeti version 2, which will essentially make Sui exponentially faster. Adeniyi didn't specify exactly how much faster, but did note that the upgrade will be released in 2025. If Mysticeti version 1 is anything to go by, then we should get a sense of these performance metrics in the coming months. By the way, we actually interviewed Adeniyi last year on our second channel, More Coin Bureau, and he talked about the Mysticeti rollout and much, much more. That's linked to right over here if you want to come back and watch later. Anyways, the second highlight is a Sui improvement proposal that seeks to address maximal extractable value, or MEV. Without getting too technical, MEV is effectively when a validator reorders transactions in a way that benefits them rather than in the way they should be processed based on the fees that were paid. This is more significant than you might think because that aforementioned survey of Solana developers revealed that MEV was their biggest problem with the Solana blockchain. Sui's move, pun intended, to address MEV on its chain is therefore a not-so-subtle signal to Solana developers to move over to Sui. Now, the third highlight of Adeniyi's X post is the launch of Walrus, which we revealed will occur sometime in Q1, and that's between now and the end of March for anyone wondering. And that reminds me, Sui is planning a massive gaming summit in March. This could be around when the Suiplay handheld device finally does ship. But back to Walrus. Another milestone related to Walrus that's coming is the launch of Seal. I'm loving these names, by the way. Anyway, Seal is practically a privacy protocol for data stored on Walrus. And this will make it possible to launch truly useful protocols on Sui, such as decentralized storage solutions and decentralized streaming solutions. The fourth highlight is a series of milestones related to improving the developer experience on Sui, and this includes a long list of things such as making it easier to query data from the Sui blockchain, an AI to check if the Sui code you wrote is correct, and a simplified software developer kit to write this code. The fifth highlight is related to users, and that's a new protocol called Kelp that will make it easier to interact with dApps and make it easier to back up and recover wallets. Sui co-founder and Mysten Labs' chief cryptographer, Kostas Chialkos, actually won a hackathon with this Kelp.me product. Very smart guy. The last highlight we'll mention here is the official launch of Suiplay, which I'll remind you could happen at that gaming conference that Sui is planning in March. Adeniyi emphasized that, quote, gaming is Sui's Trojan horse for mass adoption, and revealed that over 70 games will be launching on Suiplay in 2025. Adeniyi even went as far as providing a roadmap for how he foresees GameFi evolving in the coming years. As you can see, he believes that we're in the breakout stage of GameFi's adoption, that major gaming studios will start adopting GameFi by 2027, and that all gamers will be crypto gamers by 2030. Now that's ambitious. Adonai's prediction is that microtransactions in these games will create a surge in on-chain activity and TVL for Sui. This on-chain liquidity will be managed by the Deep Book protocol, which happens to have been created by Miston Labs. In fact, the same is true for Walrus. It was also created by Miston Labs. Come to think of it, almost all of Sui's infrastructure protocols are being built by Miston Labs. And this, of course, brings me to the challenges that Sui could face in the coming months. The first challenge is more of a, double-edged sword, and that's centralization. On the one hand, Sui's centralization means that it's able to move faster than other crypto projects, including Solana, and this gives it a huge competitive advantage. On the other hand, though, Sui's centralization could present a massive risk to the project. Once upon a time, this risk was regulatory. These days, though, this risk is more related to Sui's price and the operation of the Sui blockchain. For example, it seems that Sui whales are the key drivers of its price. On the developer front, Miston Labs has been the key driver of Sui's development. The good news is that Sui's developer team is extremely talented and even features Sam Blackshear, the creator of the Move programming language. The bad news is that this also arguably presents a single point of failure. And this ties into the second challenge that Sui could face in the coming months, and that's competition. You see, the thing about crypto is that it doesn't always matter how talented your developers are or how fast your blockchain is. The meme coin mania and the launch of Trump's meme coin should make that clear. In crypto, what matters is that you're able to attract the attention and investment of investors and create the kind of FOMO that leads to the blow-off top. Like it or not, but this is something that Solana managed to do very well with the meme coin craze, and now it has become the de facto blockchain for meme coins. Meanwhile, blockchains like the base layer 2 seem to be trying to cement themselves as ground zero for AI agents, which are undergoing a similar craze as meme coins. And this begs the question of what the FOMO factor for Sui will be. The answer could be lucrative airdrops related to the Suiplay handheld. This relates to Sui's third challenge, though, and that's the fact that the Suiplay handheld could make or break Sui's potential during the crypto bull market. In case you forgot, Sui's focus is GameFi, and it seems that these GameFi ambitions are riding on the Suiplay handheld, which is a risky strategy in our view. For instance, deliveries of the Suiplay device could be delayed for whatever reason. The devices themselves could have issues related to hardware or software. The worst possible scenario would be an exploit of the Playtron operating system used by the handheld device that results in lost user funds. At the same time, successful deliveries of Suiplay devices could leave Sui holders asking, what's next? Of course, Sui has no shortage of technical milestones, but these aren't very appealing to retail. Not only that, but there is extreme competition for the other use cases Sui could offer, like decentralized storage. With all of that said, though, there's a reason why so many of the Coin Bureau team hold Sui as part of their personal crypto portfolios. In short, it's one of the most impressive cryptos by every possible metric, and it's one of the few that appears to have a real shot at achieving true mass adoption this cycle. Its centralization, though controversial, has allowed it to leapfrog over its competitors to the point that it's in a head-to-head competition with Solana, currently the most popular crypto after Bitcoin. It's almost as if the OG Bitcoiners were right. When it comes to smart contract cryptos, the most centralized will win. In this case, the fact that Sui is based in the US and was originally created by Facebook, aka Meta, is another competitive advantage considering that Trump's pro-crypto policies will likely benefit US cryptos the most. The fact that Sui is reportedly held by one of Trump's sons is really just the cherry on top. When you combine this with the likelihood that GameFi will become a big narrative this cycle, and that Sui has already pumped a lot, you realize that the risks to Sui are to the upside, possibly more so than many other large-cap cryptos. We're excited to see what comes next, and we'll be sure to keep you posted. Now, if you enjoyed that video, don't forget about that aforementioned interview with Adonai. That's right over here. Or are you keen to see how Solana and Sui match up? Well, check out that video right over here. Subscribe to the channel yet? No? Well, you can change that right now by hitting this button right here. That's me for now. Nick, out.